Good morning, America. Breaking news, deadly church shooting. Tragedy in Charleston. At least 9 people killed overnight in a massacre in an historic black church.
I do believe this was a hate crime.
Police say this suspect, a white man in his 20s, walked into the Bible study, sat down with the group, and opened fire.
This is a most unspeakable and heartbreaking tragedy.
The pastor, a popular state senator among the victims. Incredible survival stories emerging.
We got 2 people coming out, an adult female and a child that was found in the room. They need to get checked out.
A woman allowed to live to tell the story, and a 5-year-old making it out by playing dead.
The FBI on the scene, a massive manhunt for the killer underway right now. A city grieving and on edge this morning.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
And Good Morning America, you are looking at the scene of that deadly massacre. Mother Emanuel AMA Church, Charleston, South Carolina. It looks peaceful now, but between 8 and 9 last night, a gunman walked in during Bible study, joined the group, and then suddenly opened fire. And police have just released these surveillance photos of the suspect, calling him armed and dangerous.
Here's what we know right now. At least 9 people are dead, 1 other taken to the hospital. The gunman is still on the loose and described as being in his early 20s. Police are considering this a hate crime, and dozens of FBI agents have been dispatched to help hunt down the killer.
South Carolina, the entire South reeling right now because this church, this Mother Emanuel AME Church, truly historic, one of the oldest black churches in the South. Look at this photo of Dr. Martin Luther King. He spoke there in 1962. The church became a center for organizing during the civil rights movement. So many in shock that a prayer group could be violated in this way. And ABC's Steve Osunsami is on the scene this morning in Charleston. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, George. This church is directly behind me. I don't know if you can see the steeple right there. Police have the streets blocked off here as they search through garbage bins and back alleys, apparently looking for something this gunman might have dropped. This is no doubt going to be a very painful day for families here, only made worse by the fact that this happened at a place of worship.
We call on that name of Jesus.
This morning, families here are grieving and praying for the dead.
It is unfathomable that somebody in today's society would walk into a church when people are having a prayer meeting and take their lives.
In what one city official is describing as a targeted attack, a white gunman stormed into a Bible study at Emanuel AME, a historically black church that has remained in the heart of Charleston's restaurant and entertainment district. 9 church members died right before God. Another wounded.
I do believe this was a hate crime.
Just moments ago, police released this surveillance photo of the alleged gunman taken at the area of the shooting. He's described by police as a 21 to 25-year-old white male wearing a distinctive sweatshirt, blue jeans, and Timberland boots. They say he was driving a getaway vehicle with a unique front license. Police believe he's still in the area, but they're asking for the public's help in bringing him in. This morning, he's still on the run. Overnight, a massive manhunt. The FBI and the ATF joining the investigation.
Apparently, we had someone running around armed downtown.
A bomb threat called in moments after the shooting made things worse, forcing families and tourists to leave the area.
These people were in church. They were in church.
Families of the victims who came together a few blocks away tell ABC News the suspect walked into the church and sat down during part of a Bible study class before suddenly standing up and firing his gun.
This is a most unspeakable and heartbreaking tragedy.
At 9:05 p.m., police rushed to the scene.
We got 2 people coming out, an adult female and a child that was found in the room. They need to get checked out.
One of the victims is the pastor of the church, 41-year-old Senator Clementa Pinckney, who earned distinction as the youngest African-American state lawmaker in South Carolina history. Earlier in the day, the pastor had been campaigning with Hillary Clinton. Pinckney leaves a wife and 2 children. Police say one of the survivors is a 5-year-old who played dead when the shooting started.
It was a heartbreaking scene I have never witnessed in my life.
According to one state representative, the gunman told a female survivor that he would let her go so she could tell everyone what happened. This is the oldest AME church in the South and will certainly go down as one of the deadliest attacks against a black church in U.S. history. Amy.
All right, Steve, thank you for that latest update. And joining us now with more on the manhunt is ABC News consultant and former FBI special agent Brad Garrett. And Brad, we've seen the surveillance images. They are everywhere this morning. How soon before police get their guy?
I think shortly, Amy. I mean, you got great pictures, a unique tag, a car description, and he wanted everybody to know that he did it. I mean, he leaves one person alive to spread the word. So this guy's going to get caught or they're going to find him dead.
He is a young white male, and among the many chilling details, he came into church, sat down, and attended part of the Bible study before he opened fire. What do we know about who this man is and what his motivation may have been?
Well, he goes into church, Amy, to sit down because he wants to put them at ease. And he also wants to look them in the eye, which makes this even more personal before he opens fire.
He's been described as extremely dangerous. How likely is it that he would try something again? Is the community still at risk here?
I think the big issue is going to be cornering him, arresting him, or finding him. I'm not sure that he's going to go attack maybe another church. This guy's now on the run if he's still alive.
All right, Brad Garrett, thank you for the very latest.
And Amy, we're learning more about the victims now. We now know there were 3 male, 6 female victims inside the church. I want to go to Pierre Thomas now, our Chief Justice correspondent. They are describing this as a hate crime, Pierre, and hate crimes across the South on the rise.
Very much so, George, and this case is being given the highest priority. Last night, the FBI director was notified, and scores of FBI agents have been directed to participate in the investigation and the manhunt. This is being investigated, as you said, as a potential hate crime because the suspect is a white male, and officials are well aware of the South's history in regard to violence against black churches. Sources were stunned at the cold-blooded and calculated nature of the crime, and there's real concern, the sources say, that this person could act again. Also, George, remember, the new Attorney General, who is African-American, is a daughter of the South and the child of a Baptist minister. This case unfolds as the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate groups, says these organizations are on the rise, a 30% increase in their numbers since 2000. A disturbing, difficult day, George.
Boy, it certainly is, Pierre Thomas. We now want to go. Moments ago, I spoke with the Reverend Goff, an elder at the AME Church. We are joined now by Reverend Norval Goff, an elder at the Emmanuel Church in Charleston. And Reverend Goff, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. Our prayers are with the victims and their families, and I know you spent the night with the families and can only imagine the shock they are feeling right now.
Well, thank you so much for your prayers, and we solicited throughout the nation for the 9 victims of this heinous crime. We want the public to know that we are having a noonday vigil prayer service at 12 noon at Morris Brown Church in Charleston, South Carolina.
As I said, I know you spent the night with the families. What were they able to tell you about what happened inside that church?
Well, the conversation went that they were in Bible study, and a young white male came into the Bible study, and after sitting for a moment or two, stood up and began shooting. As a result of that, we have 9 fatalities. Later this morning, we are hoping to have all 9 names made available to the public.
Did the shooter say anything before he opened fire?
Not to my knowledge. We would hope that those kinds of questions will be answered by those who are being interviewed by the police chief at this hour, along with other investigating bodies, which include state, local, and federal agency. And we are being very supportive and urging them to seek justice. And we believe that this is a hate crime, that one that must be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
And have there been any threats against the church in recent days?
None to our knowledge. There has not been any threats against church members, the pastor, anything to our knowledge. Mother Emmanuel Church is a point of destination for the entire nation and for the state of South Carolina. We are a very solid part of the fabric of this community and has been a force for positive change since its inception.
Reverend Goff, thank you very much for your time this morning. Again, our condolences for this loss.
Thank you.
Also joining us now, State Senator Marlin Kimpson from Charleston. And Senator Kimpson, thank you for joining us this morning. Our condolences for this loss. I know you served with Pastor Pinkney. What can you tell us about this remarkable man?
Well, the state of South Carolina has lost a giant. Senator Pinkney was the moral conscience of the General Assembly. Let me also just say that my prayers go out to not only Senator Pinckney's family, but the family of the other death victims. We need prayer, George. We need prayer.
And Senator, you were in the command center last night. What more can you tell us about what happened inside that church? Do you know if the shooter said anything before he opened fire?
I can tell you this, that the state of South Carolina and all of the law enforcement officials are huddled in Charleston with every fiber of their being committed to finding this shooter, to bring him to justice.
And sir, our thoughts and prayers are with all of you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Boy, this crime is so hard to fathom. The gunman is still on the loose, and of course, we're going to stay on this all morning long.
All right, George, thank you.